The Palestinian Red Crescent has released a video it says is of an Israeli attack on a medical convoy last month in Gaza that killed 15 people. Now, a warning, these images we're going to show you may be distressing. The images were taken from the phone of one of those who were killed. They appear to show a convoy of emergency vehicles stopping on a road before they come under gunfire. Now, the vehicles have emergency lights on. The UN says that the dead were emergency responders. Israel has said that they were terrorists who were driving without lights. DW correspondent Konstantin Eggert is in Jerusalem. Earlier he told me about Israel's reaction to the video.
The reaction shifted since the video appeared, and before that the Israelis were saying that the vehicles were moving without lights and they looked suspicious to the soldiers deployed in the area. Now, in response to this video appearing, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces spokesman, said that the issue will be studied and the whole incident will be transferred to a special general staff department, which essentially deals with controversial issues like that. And the Israeli spokesman said that this issue will be investigated. Still, the Israelis are saying, as you mentioned, that the convoy, in the convoy, there were several Hamas operatives, and that they were liquidated during this shootout, this attack. So essentially, the Israeli army is saying that it will look into the matter.
Okay, Konstantin, and this happened in Gaza. Tell us, what is the latest on the situation there?
Well, the Israeli forces are now finishing creating a new corridor that will separate the town of Khan Yunis from the city of Rafah in the very south of the Gaza Strip. This is part of the strategy announced by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a few days ago of kind of, I could call it slicing up Gaza in several areas that will be isolated and that will make, as the Israeli government says, difficult for Hamas to operate in this territory. It was the first time that the heavy Israeli army presence was noticed in this area, the very, very significant deployment of ground troops, and it seems that the operation of creating this corridor, which the Israeli called the Mora corridor, named after a settlement that existed there many years ago, is pretty much finished by now. As well, recently, just before I went on air, Hamas released a video which purports and seems to show two hostages, two men, about whom nothing was heard since the terror attack of October the 7th, 2023. So now this video is being studied in Israel.
Very interesting. Thanks a lot for that, Konstantin. That's our correspondent, Konstantin Eggert in Jerusalem.
Now, Georgia Tacey is a humanitarian advisor for Save the Children. She joins me from inside the Gaza Strip. So let's start with the video that the UN says shows the first responders coming under attack in Gaza. How concerned are you about your own safety and those of your co-workers there?
Yeah, I think the entire humanitarian community is deeply concerned and to be frank, outraged at the news of what happened with our Red Cross and Red Crescent colleagues. I think there's no safe place in the Gaza Strip, but there was a modicum of, I guess, coordination with the Israeli authorities that was in place, where we felt that if we were notifying the authorities of our movement, that we would be protected under humanitarian law. But it is certainly a very relevant and deep concern today, as I hear drones going overhead of our office right now and explosions a couple of blocks away. It's a very real and present danger for us now.
So as you were telling us just there, violence is still continuing. Can you give us a sense of the humanitarian situation in Gaza right now?
Sure. We have over 1.9 million people displaced right now, and further displacement is happening on a daily and hourly basis. Some people have had to be moved 15, 20 times in the last 18 months. We've had over 50,000 people killed and 15,000 children. So now we're entering the 34th day of where no commercial or humanitarian supplies have been allowed to enter Gaza, which has led to a chronic and severe shortage of food, water, fuel, which is very necessary, and medical supplies and blood stocks. So we had the very disappointing news recently. This week, the World Food Programme had to announce that they were closing their bakeries along the Gaza Strip due to the lack of flour being available on the market. And those World Food Programs were delivering families there one meal a day, and now families don't even have access to that. So it's really driving up the already very high rates of malnutrition, particularly for pregnant mums and small children.
So as you were saying there, it sounds like there's a truly disastrous situation when it comes to aid from abroad coming into Gaza. So what type of assistance are you actually able to provide in that situation?
So very limited, to be honest. Whilst we have some stocks in our warehouse and we're delivering what we can, Save the Children have 50 trucks at the border ready to come in, full of different humanitarian supplies. But right now, a lot of the community are working off what we had in stock and are advocating very strongly to the Israeli authorities to allow that aid in. We're still doing a minimal amount of water trucking and kit distribution. But one of the other challenges we have that prior to the ceasefire, we were able to notify the Israeli authorities of our movements so that we did not come under fire, that our vehicles and our officers would remain deconflicted. But since the ceasefire collapsed, there is very limited service available to us to be able to communicate that to the authorities, which is an intentional way to limit our movements as first responders.
Now, as you mentioned just a little while ago, you can hear drones and Israeli strikes constantly. So the question is, with the evacuation orders in place, do normal Gazans have anywhere safe to go?
There is no safe place in Gaza. The so-called humanitarian zone has been violated so many times that that whole term has become meaningless. We see people being given maybe 1 to 2 minutes notice via text message that they must flee their community before a airstrike occurs, and sometimes they don't even get that kind of notice. So we have families grabbing their children and fleeing in the middle of the night. So you will see children walking around Gaza with half-dressed, no shoes, people trying to find temporary tents or bits of plastic sheeting to sleep under for the night, only to be moved along 3 days later as more ground incursions make progress across the Strip.
It sounds like a truly disastrous situation. That was Georgia Tacey of the NGO Save the Children from inside the Gaza Strip. Please stay safe.
Thank you.